Hello, in this video we are going to look at implementing a basic function. So if you don't already know what a function is, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you've come from another programming language already, but if you don't, it's basically a way of grouping a few lines of code, as many lines of code as you want really, but it's usually not best to do a huge amount because it's hard to manage it. But it allows you to group some code together, and every time you call that function, it will initiate that code. Benefit of that is if you have a complex algorithm, for example, that takes 20 lines of code, instead of, let's say, repeating those 20 lines of code maybe 100 times, because you need to perform that functionality 100 different times in 100 different locations in your application, you can just call the function 100 times, thus reducing it to just 100 extra lines, or 99 extra lines beyond the first time, instead of 2000. And if I make an update to the function, all of the other function calls will be updated as well. Whereas if I make an update and I've copied and pasted it 200 times or 100 times, then I'll have to change every single one of them. To implement a function, it's actually really simple. So this is a function right here. This is the default one that you need to start. But you just essentially name it. So I'm going to call it epic print, put a colon. Everything inside of here will be initiated when we, call it. So if I run it, we just get this hello world printed out, which is the default code. I'm going to cut all of this, which is required to print it out, and paste it here. If I run it now, we get nothing. That's because even though we've got the code, unless we initiate this function or call it, it won't do anything. To call it is really simple. Do epic print, run it, and okay, so we get an invalid memory address. You need a return statement, put RET for return, and now you run it, it'll work fine. Okay, so that's fantastic. You might be thinking, okay, still working the same way as usual. But imagine again, if this was a complex algorithm and I needed to run this several times. I'm going to put it one after another, but you might need to put in different locations in the application. The principle is the same. And without having to duplicate any of this code, I was able to essentially, do all of this in terms of moving to the registers, printing out the length, and printing out a variable based on a certain length, which is fantastic. So that's really all there is to implementing a basic function into assembly. If you have any questions though, feel free to pop me a message. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.